I've been sitting on making this video for a long time now, and y'all finally wanted me to just get it done, so we're getting it done. And honestly, I'm not even going to do some elaborate intro, I'm just going to get straight to the point. It's been a while since we've talked about Predator, and right now, we're going to chat about Prey. Or more specifically, why I don't like Prey. Prey is what happens when you take the original Predator film and make it worse in every way besides pure spectacle. Engaging and interesting characters? Nope, we don't need that. A thrilling, suspenseful story? Nope, we don't need that. On top of this, it's not like this film actually does anything. Nothing changes in the wider universe aside from a goddamn retcon of an amazing short comic. In Predator 2, the elder Yautja known as Greyback gave Harrigan a flintlock pistol as a reward for his victory against the City Hunter. The origin of this flintlock was explored in a short comic called Predator 1718. In this short story, a pirate captain that wants to return treasure to the church is betrayed by his crew. Greyback enters the battle, and the two fight side by side. When it's just them two remaining, they're about to duel, but one of the captain's crewmates is still alive, and he shoots the captain in the back. Greyback kills the crewmate, and with his last breath, the captain tells Greyback to take it, as he drops his pistol in front of him. Greyback accepts the offering, giving the dead captain his own blade in return. Obviously, we then get to Predator 2, where Greyback gifts Harrigan with the same pistol, saying those same words. Obviously, you can live without this comic, but it's just an overall really nice touch to the Predator canon. But nope, none of that is true anymore. Now some French guy gave the pistol to Naru in exchange for her to heal him. And now Naru just has the pistol at the end of Prey, and we have absolutely no idea how the hell it ends up in the hands of Greyback in Predator 2. Great job, movie. That was totally necessary. Thank you. I'm sure we'll find out how the flintlock ends up in the hands of Greyback in Prey 2, because this movie was just so good, it needed to be the only Predator movie in the history of the franchise to actually have a direct sequel. I hate this timeline. Now that we've got that out of the way, why else don't I like this movie? Well, I refuse to spend 30 minutes summarizing the movie and going through every minor detail like 80% of review YouTubers do, because that's just a waste of everyone's time, if you ask me. So, I'll just go over the biggest issues I have with this film for right now. My absolute biggest issue with this movie is Naru. And no, I'm not some sexist pig fighting against the woke agenda by crying about women online. She's just a bad character. Bland, boring, and uninteresting. She kinda reminds me of Ahsoka Tano from The Mandalorian. In that show, Ahsoka is a shell of her former self from the likes of shows like The Clone Wars or Rebels. In those animated shows, she's always much more expressive and energetic. In The Mandalorian, she's overly stoic and only has one set facial expression. No energy whatsoever. That's how I feel about Naru. Not only is she an idiot, but she is just the most bland plank of wood I have ever seen on a screen. I swear even Rey was more entertaining than watching this chick. I mean, at least she had an actual personality with real energy. Naru is just boring. I think the only character I actually kinda liked was her brother, but the feral predator was a pussy and had to cloak and stab him in the back as soon as he was getting his ass beat. There ain't no honor in an action like that. I mean, this guy was just killing Apache warriors and French trappers left and right like a badass. And then this one guy on a horse comes in and starts beating his ass, so he just hides behind the cloak only to get a dirty kill in. There are two major plot devices in this movie. One being Naru's dog, and the other being that stupid magic plan. Naru's dog just disappears and reappears whenever the plot requires him to be there to save Naru's butt. Actually, speaking of saving her butt, what the hell was up with that bear? Naru and her dog are stalking a bear. She goes to shoot the bear with her bow, but the bow breaks and the bear is alerted of her presence. It immediately goes all feral and starts charging her, and she's just laying there trying to fix her bow. So the dog comes in clutch and runs away. The bear gets distracted by the running dog and starts chasing it. How? Why? Naru is just laying there right in front of you. Not only is she just staying there, not struggling, but she's a bigger meal than the dog would be. Why would you not just ignore the dog? Go up to her and start tearing into her flesh. Is this bear stupid? And don't get me started on that stupid plan. So, you know how Dutch used mud to cover up his body heat and hide from the jungle hunter's thermal vision? Well, Naru's version of that is a magic flower that lowers your body heat to literal corpse cold temperatures 2 seconds after eating it. And before anybody comes into the comments and says, oh, but Dutch covering himself in mud was unrealistic too. Mud could never mask your body temp that perfectly in the real world. Well, there's a little something called suspension of disbelief. When writing works of fiction, it's acceptable to push the boundaries of believability, but only by a certain amount. Dutch using the mud to cover himself makes sense, right? The mud is probably really cold, and the floor is covered in mud, so with all that mud on him, his temperature is being masked and blends into the surrounding area. Okay, that's fair. The rest of the movie is also actually good, so people will generally be more willing to let movies that are actually good get away with more, wonky things. So that's what makes that one so acceptable compared to a magic flower that should honestly kill you. I mean, there's no way your body temperature can be lowered that much, that fast, without being fatal, or at least damaging your body in some way. By the way, remember how the feral predator absolutely demolished dozens of French trappers and Apache warriors with these? Yeah, and then Naru beat his ass, single-handedly with little injury. And I don't want to hear a single soul saying, oh, well, actually, she only won because she was playing it smart and Feral underestimated her. No, Feral just suddenly turned into an absolute lumbering buffoon for that final fight scene. It's acceptable for you to say that he was underestimating her before she cut off his arm. After Naru cut off his arm, he should have been smart enough to realize she posed an actual threat and needed to be dealt with quickly. There are at least 3 points where Naru wasn't being smart and was up close and personal with Feral. She should have died each and every time, especially when he literally had her by the neck on the floor. He killed a grizzly bear with one punch. Do you really think he couldn't just snap the neck of this skinny little girl with ease? And how did Naru even know how to use his own mask against him? How was she able to understand how that thing worked? She needed to be taught how to use a firearm, but she looks at the super advanced piece of technology in the heat of battle, which should have been interpreted as magic to her, watches it in use one time, and suddenly knows how it works. She wasn't even looking at it at an angle where she could have seen it. How? Let's just talk about visuals. Prey is probably the best this franchise has ever looked, but at the same time, I kind of have to disagree. The feral predator in this movie is a practical suit, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. Except for when it's slathered in CGI. I mean, why would you have your costume department make something so beautiful and visually impressive, only to cover it in CGI later on? You might as well just make the whole creature a CG model at that point. The addition of the added CGI just makes the Predator look worse at times, not better. Overall, this movie is a mess, but my biggest problem with it is the fact that it exists. This franchise suffers from a lack of a story. Every movie in this franchise is just skipping around to completely different stories that are mostly unrelated to one another. We got the original, then we got Predator 2, which is probably the most connected film in the franchise, but still that doesn't mean much. Then Predators, which is totally different, then The Predator, which I refuse to even talk about right now, and of course Prey comes in, and instead of trying to continue a story, it just starts a whole new one in the past with like a soft reboot of sorts. And of course we have 3 upcoming Predator movies, one being a Prey sequel, another being Predator Badlands, which is set in the far future, and then another movie that is more or less gonna tell 3 stories at once about predators in different past eras, fighting things like pirates or samurai. So we have 1 sequel to a bad movie, and 2 more completely unrelated films that will more than likely add very little to the non-existent story. If you want to hear me talk even more about this issue, you can watch this video here. But I think I've talked about Prey enough. A lot of people think Prey was the best Predator movie since the original, which is just no. I don't like Prey, but it was obviously better than The Predator. Anything is better than that movie. But putting the AVP movies aside, if you say that, I'm guessing there's a chance you've only ever seen Prey and the original Predator. Predator 2 and Predators blow Prey out of the water easily. It's not really close. But anyway, if you want to hear more really amazing takes just like this, you should like this video and subscribe to keep up with me. I'd really appreciate it if you did that. Now hopefully I never have to talk about this movie ever again, because I don't like talking about it. So yeah, bye bye.